Chapter 19. Domus Ursa, Surrey, England, June 5th, 1889. Flames licked at the charred remains of the building, and blackened support beams crumbled to the ground as pillars of ash drifted into the air. A blood-red sky hung low overhead, filled with smoke and dust. Athena looked out over the ruins of London, watching as it burned, the heat washing over their skin and fire tickling at their fingertips, dancing in their hair. She had finally reduced the world to ashes. The blaze had spread from them, devouring the city, devouring the world. He had caused the seas to boil and the forest to burn, and it was beautiful. Athena's skin felt stretched across his form, pulled tight against two long bones. Razor-sharp teeth sliced against the inside of his mouth, lacerating his cheeks. There was a voice speaking to her in a language she didn't understand, and she could taste the sweet, intoxicating blood coating her tongue. Athena wasn't sure if it was their own blood or someone else's, and they didn't particularly care. The shapes moved through the flames in jerky, flickering movements, and the feeling of fulfillment and joy within their core morphed into anxiety. Athena's heart beat rapidly in their chest. The voice in their head echoed, crashing like waves against the shores of their mind, and it felt so familiar, as if the name of the voice's owner was on the tip of his tongue, as if Athena could reach out and touch whoever was speaking to them. Athena stretched their fingers towards the shadowy shapes, and they felt the flames pulse through their veins, their tawny skin glowing from beneath with a golden hue. "What are you saying?" Athena choked the words through a throat clogged with ash and blood. "Please, I can't understand you." Tears fell from their eyes now as the voice came louder and the shapes moved faster. The tears, solid, opalescent crystals of their pain, clinked and chimed melodically as they fell to the ground and bounced off the charred cobble streets. The shapes were almost human. Distorted figures, twisted beyond any describable form. "Please." Athena had spoken, but it was not her voice which had escaped her lips. It was Jamie's. "Athena, please." Athena turned, and the thick layer of blood which coated his skin cracked and fell away, dried from the heat which emanated both from without and from within. Jamie's body was bent and broken on the stones at their feet. Blood was everywhere, matted in their curly brown hair, staining it almost black, and coloring their clothes in a crimson deeper than the sky. "Please, please help me," Jamie sobbed in great, shuddering gasps. Athena bent down to their friend. They reached out a hand, soot-blackened fingers elongated and tipped with claws. Only they did not reach out to help Jamie. Athena screamed to himself internally, desperate to stop his own movements as he felt his hands wrap around Jamie's throat. Their friend let out a gasp which was cut off as Athena's grip tightened, restricting their airflow as she lifted Jamie's shattered form into the air. Jamie should have been taller than her. They always had been, but now lifting them to eye level caused their feet to dangle inches above the ground. "Jamie!" Athena screamed. No sound left their snarling lips. "Jamie, I'm sorry, please. Jamie, I don't want to. I didn't mean... I'm sorry." Athena watched as the fear in Jamie's eyes faded away and was replaced with a blank, empty stare. He felt their body go limp in his hand. He felt the pulse beneath his fingers slow to a stop. And then it was no longer Jamie in their hands, dangling lifeless as Athena's claws dug into their flesh and drew droplets of dark blood from their throat. Now it was Ray, the strange green glow of his eye flickering out like a dying flame as the corruption which plagued their skin was burned away in Athena's grasp. Flames raced up the skin of their mentor's corpse, clinging to his flesh, and embers drifted into the air as the mold burned away as easily as if it were paper. Athena screamed as he dropped the body of the man who raised him. It was an unearthly screeching sound which shook the charred husk of the earth beneath their feet. The masculine voice which echoed in the streets around them was gentler now, attempting to comfort them in its strange language as the solid glass tears streamed from their face onto the ground. The words echoed meaninglessly in their mind. "Mix?" the voice asked. Except that it wasn't the voice. It was too solid to be that voice. "Mix, we've arrived." Athena jerked awake as the carriage hit a stone and bounced violently, slowing to a halt. The coach driver looked back at them through a small window silhouetted against the grey sky outside. The sky was grey, not red. The flames were gone. Athena had never been happier to see the onset of a storm in the distance, to see the dense blankets of dark clouds which loomed on the horizon, bringing with them the promise of rain. Still, however, Athena could feel the burning heat beneath his skin as he blinked at the carriage driver. I'm sorry?" he asked. Their voice was scratchy and their throat felt raw, as if they really had been screaming. "We've arrived at the address you requested." "You're all right, kid?" Athena nodded, blinking rapidly in the afternoon light as they opened the door of the coach. Yes, I'm fine. Yes, thank you." He used a hand to wipe at his face and it came away wet with tears. Real tears. They took solace in that fact. Real tears, not crystal. It was just another dream. Another nightmare. The same as so many that had come before it. Athena looked up, blinking in the summer sunlight at the small cottage framed against the hills. Jamie's cottage. It looked abandoned, lifeless and uninviting. The sheer antithesis of Jamie themselves. "Please, wait here. I'll return soon." "Of course, that's what you're paying for." The driver nodded, watching as Athena stepped out onto the gravel footpath which led towards the house. The small stones crunched pleasantly underfoot, held in place by a thin layer of mud that suggested spring showers not too long ago. Athena straightened their vest as they walked towards the cottage. He didn't notice as 3 crystalline tears clinked to the path behind him, falling from the folds of their clothes and glinting in the dim sunlight as they mixed among the gravel. Athena knocked on the front door, gently at first. Jamie, are you in there? It's me, Athena. Are you all right?" There was no response. Had she come to the wrong place? It was possible Jamie had gone to Arboreal Manor, but given what Sherbet had said about Mambu, something felt off. Perhaps it was the lasting emotions of the nightmare, or their experiences with Ray and Dr. Quakeson a few days before. But the scenario set every nerve in Athena's body on edge. Athena took out their own key to Jamie's cottage and let themselves inside. But the atmosphere of the cottage was still and heavy with the humid warmth of summer. The first thing that Athena noticed was the smell. It assaulted his nostrils more intense than he could have possibly imagined. Soured milk and rotten fruit, left out on the counter in a tepid cooling boxes. Flies buzzed excitedly around the kitchen, covering everything they could find. Athena stuck their head around a corner and noticed a teacup by the window, abandoned and ice cold, half evaporated in the faint sunlight. Jamie's suitcases were packed, left in the hall and ready to leave at a moment's notice. The space felt strange and liminal, the signs of life artificial and hollow in their mimicry of normality. The sinking feeling in Athena's stomach grew heavier as Sherbert's words replayed in their mind, over and over. I don't think you'll be hearing from them anytime soon. Jamie, Athena called. There was no response. Her voice was met only by the buzzing of flies. His hand lingered on Jamie's bedroom door handle. For a moment, they imagined opening the door and seeing Jamie on the bed, the black mold filling the room, stretching out from their body, bubbling up through their skin. A rotten husk of themselves as the fungus and the flies ate away at their corpse. The Jamie on the bed shared the same lifeless eyes as the Jamie from their dream, staring back at her in horror. Athena took a deep breath and pushed open the door to the bedroom. He exhaled, finding it empty in a wave of relief which clashed with the walls of fear steadily being built around their mind. Jamie, they called again. Hello? The voice was so weak Athena barely heard it. He froze, believing for a moment that perhaps he hadn't heard it, that it was just his imagination, a manifested longing for Jamie to be here, given life in their mind. There were only so many rooms in the cottage for Jamie to be in, after all. Jamie, Athena yelled, spinning around. Jamie, it's Athena. Are you there? His heart thundered in his chest so violently he was afraid the sound of blood pulsing in his ears would drown out Jamie's response. Athena? Jamie asked, this time a little louder, yet still weak and ragged. Then their voice came again, shouting louder still, more aggressively now. No, you're not, Athena, you're not real, you're just the dark, you're just in my head, and I don't want you here. Jamie's quiet, strained voice drifted off into incoherent mumbling. Jamie, it's me, I promise. What were they saying? Why would he not be real? Why was nobody making sense anymore? Why couldn't things just make sense? Where are... The basement, Athena realized before they could finish. He must have been in the basement. Athena threw open the door and raced down the stairs. They reached the bottom landing and tried to open the door, rattling it in his frame. Jamie, you in there? This isn't real. You're not real. You can't. Just leave me alone. Jamie's voice cracked as they yelled. I'm real, Jamie, I'm real, I promise. I'm going to get you out. Athena felt themselves getting choked up as they banged their hand on the door. The metal handle was growing hot in their grasp. If she had taken her hand away, she would have seen it was glowing with heat. He slammed the full force of his shoulder against the wood. The door didn't budge. Athena beat a fist against the door and it left a distinct yet unnoticed scorch mark. Jamie, I'm going to get you out, I promise. Everything will be okay, Athena slammed into the door again, this sentence devolving into a scream of frustration. Jamie was muttering and whimpering on the other side of the door, more to themselves than to Athena now. Athena launched himself at the door again and again, feeling their bones bruise as they slammed into the thick wood, joints popping and cracking with every collision. With a cry of rage and frustration, Athena slammed themselves against the door one final time. The door splintered off its hinges, panels of wood flying inwards. Athena stood in the doorway, panting and gripping his shoulder tightly as light from the stairwell flooded into the room. Athena had been holding back tears since they arrived. Hell, since they had left London several days before. And now, finally, they sobbed, heartbroken at the sight of Jamie, their closest and right now only friend, curled up in the corner of the stone floor, shielding their eyes from the light. Jamie? She asked suddenly, taking a slow step towards their friend. Jamie let out a soft whimper. Athena, it's so bright. Jamie had their eyes squeezed tight, their face scrunched up in pain. Is that really you? It is. It's me, I promise. Athena dropped to his knees beside Jamie's curled-up frame, gently resting a hand on their shoulder. "It's me, and I'm here, Jamie. Everything is alright. I'm here." This was a lie, but now didn't seem to be the time for telling truths. Athena's voice wavered as they spoke. "How long have you been down here, Jamie?" I don't know." Jamie sucked in a breath. "God, I don't know, Athena. It was so dark, so quiet and so dark, and I ran out of food, and it was so small and dark, and I..." Jamie broke down into a fit of sobbing, and Athena pulled them closer, stroking their messy, tangled hair. Jamie's tears failed to wet her shirt as they pressed their head into her shoulder, and they soon realized there were no tears. His body simply had no more tears left to give. "I'm gonna get you out of here, okay? We're gonna go back to London." "I was all alone," Jamie whispered, unfurling themselves to wrap their arms around Athena. I know, I'm sorry, but you're not alone anymore, alright? I'm here for you. I'm here now." Athena leant their head on Jamie's. "We're gonna head upstairs, okay? Get you some water and a bath, alright? And I've got food in the carriage outside. You're not alone anymore, alright, Jamie? I promise." Jamie nodded into Athena's shoulder. They couldn't bring themselves to look up, much less give a verbal response. It was a long time before they were finally able to speak again. My legs. I don't know if I can walk right now. I haven't eaten or moved. The room is so tight." "It's okay. I'm here. It's okay." Athena slowly began to stand, pulling Jamie up with them. Jamie's legs shook violently like the legs of a newborn calf, weak and unsteady, and Athena had to take most of their weight to keep them upright. "Okay, upstairs, you can do this," Athena said through tears which matched Jamie's own. "We'll head to the bathroom first, okay? Get you a shower?" Jamie nodded weakly as Athena half-dragged them up the stairs. They had to keep their eyes squeezed tight against the light after so long in the darkness. What day is it?" they asked. Their voice was hoarse and strained. "June 5th, Athena said quietly. They had finally reached the small bathroom. He felt a flood of relief that Jamie had a shower installed. That would make things easier, at least. Jamie made a choking, whimpering sound in the back of their dry throat. "For 5 days. She left me in there for 5 days. She said she would come back for me, but she didn't come back at all. She said she would, but 5 days. Their bodies shook violently with more sobs, and they threatened to fall to the ground before Athena propped them up against the sink. In the grey light streaming into the room, Athena noticed for the first time how thin Jamie really looked. How frail they seemed, crumpled and fragile. Their skin was like parchment stretched too far over sharp bones, and their eyes were red and frantic, darting about the room, soaking in all the light they could without truly seeing anything. "I'm sorry. God, Jamie, I'm so sorry." "Mabu did this?" Athena asked. Jamie nodded. I don't know what I did wrong." "Nothing." Athena cut them off before they could say anything else. He reached over and placed a hand under Jamie's chin, turning their head to face him. Jamie flinched at the contact. "You didn't do anything wrong, Jamie. This wasn't... It was my fault. I didn't listen. Jamie, please," Athena begged. The lines of tears on their cheeks glimmered in the sunlight. "This wasn't about you, Jamie. Dr. Quakeson and Easton and all of them. There's something wrong. They're sick, like Ray is, and I think there's something controlling them, but I'm not sure, and it..." She took a deep breath. "Your mother isn't in the right frame of mind, Jamie. I think they're using her. But this wasn't your fault. I promise this wasn't your fault. Nothing you could have done would be deserving of this sort of punishment. This wasn't punishment, Jamie. This was torture. Jamie didn't respond. The room was filled with a long, dreadful silence. You came for me, they said after a very long time, in a very small voice. Athena wasn't sure what to say. Of course I did. I care about you. You're my best friend, and I'm always going to come looking for you. We'll always find each other, right? Jamie nodded, weakly. Always. Athena pulled back the shower curtain for them and turned on the water. I guess I'll leave you alone to... Yeah. He moved to leave. Wait. Jamie grabbed their wrist with a surprising speed given their condition, before quickly letting go. Sorry, I didn't mean to... Can you stay? Please? Just by the door, or at least somewhere I can hear you, if not see you. I really don't want to be alone right now, if that's okay. Athena nodded, moving back to lean against the counter, their shoulder pressed against Jamie's. Of course it's okay. The taller teen leaned into her, and Athena leaned back, the two resting their heads on each other, grounding themselves in the other's presence. Of course it's okay. I'll get you some clean clothes from your room, and then I'll stay right here, I promise. Thank you, Jamie breathed, watching as Athena crossed the small hole, before slowly undressing with numb fingers and dragging themselves into the shower. I didn't think you were real, Jamie said after a while, as they reached to pull on a fresh shirt. Athena, who was looking away and out into the hallway while their friend dressed, made a small, sad noise of acknowledgement. In the corner of his eye, he saw a flash of Jamie's shoulder at the mirror, the briefest glimpse of skin and collarbone. Athena blushed and looked away. I was in there for so long, in the dark and the quiet. My mind, I suppose I started imagining things. All kinds of things. Sounds, voices, shapes sometimes. People and things moving in the dark. I was so scared, Athena. Jamie drew in a shaking breath. I thought I was going to die down there. They had spent a considerable amount of their time in the shower simply gulping down the water straight from the pipes. At least now their mouth no longer felt like sandpaper. Instead, every word felt as if it was being forced out around a stone lodged in their throat. I'm so sorry, Jamie, Athena said quietly. Everything has gotten worse, hasn't it? Jamie swallowed, stepping out beside their friend shakily, now fully if hastily dressed. Their stomach growled loudly. Is Ray... I just mean, is he... I was worried that maybe he had... Athena shook his head, not needing Jamie to finish. Ray's alive, for now, he said quietly. Sherbert and Easton, they've been lying to us. They're infected too, worse than Ray. Much worse. There's something wrong about this all, Jamie. Something unnatural. It's as if whatever's causing all of this is just behind a curtain and we can't quite see it. Athena shook his head. Sorry, that sounds stupid, but Ray's in danger. They're going to make him do something dangerous. A ritual. Ritual? Jamie asked. You mean this is like an occult thing? I didn't think that was... You don't really believe... I don't want to believe it, Athena shrugged. It's not scientific, and it goes against everything I believe, but it's... Jamie, I saw what happened to Sherbet. What we both saw happen to Ray. I just can't find a way to rationalize it. Any of it. I just don't know. Jamie let Athena guide them into the kitchen, where they scavenged for any non-spoiled food they could find. Jamie ferociously shoveled spoonfuls of honey into their mouth at the first opportunity, desperate to eat anything to get something into their starving system. Athena began attempting to clear away the rotting food, throwing it into a bucket of compost which would be added to the pile for Jamie's garden. Athena, Jamie said after a while, the sweetness still clinging to their tongue. All of this, it's our fault, isn't it? Athena didn't answer for a long time. Yes, she said finally. I think it is. The three of us, from Athens, she breathed. But we're going to fix it. We're going to save Ray, and then we can save the others. Together, as a family. Like we always do. Family, Jamie murmured, tears welling in their eyes. They turned their head in an attempt to hide them from Athena. I don't really know if I can save anyone right now, Athena. I couldn't even... I let myself be... Hey. Athena stepped out from the kitchen and placed a hand on Jamie's shoulder. You didn't let anything happen. You're the strongest person I have ever met, Jamie. You survived that long down there by yourself. You'll survive so much more. We can do this, I promise. We have to. Athena forced themselves to look at their friend in the eyes. His hand was frighteningly close to their neck, and for a moment he glimpsed the dream yet again. Those lifeless brown eyes. Athena pulled their hand away before Jamie could notice the shift in their expression. Tears spilled from the corners of Jamie's eyes. Yeah, we will, they said eventually. We'll save them. Athena nodded, forcing a smile, but refusing to look back at Jamie to see if it was reciprocated. The coach is ready to leave when you are. Jamie looked around the cottage. Any feeling of freedom or excitement which had accompanied their purchase of the home had been extinguished violently in the last few days, crushed under the weight of what had happened. I can't leave soon enough, they said finally, smiling back at her. Still grasping the jar of honey and a spoon in one hand, Athena helped Jamie out of the cottage and down the path towards the carriage.